I
What
didn't know.
episode are we on? I've been on holiday. What's happening?
I'd have to check with the notes. I have no idea. It's been that long. Extended holiday over there.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So what you been up to?
Well, I've been doing the whole like new dad thing.
New dad. Oh,
Yeah, neither.
congratulations.
I mean, I like how you're having this conversation like you didn't know this information, even though you're my brother. Um, but yeah, look, let's go with that.
I'm doing it for the podcast. Doing it for the podcast.
Yeah, no, crazy, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. That happened before December, and then just I've not been able to sleep. I've not been able to function. Um, I missed an entire Saturday of football a couple of weeks ago because I just fell asleep and then at about dinner time and then woke up at 3 in the morning the day after. So yeah, it's been interesting. It's been interesting. But yeah, now I've got it a bit more under control.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. And I'm gonna find out what episode this is while we do. But yeah, it's been good to be back. It's been nice to be watching some football. How has
Yeah.
things been with you?
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been a busy time for us with Atletico Orlando, the team I coach, as well as following along with the lot of football that's been on. The real positive thing about American TV is that every game is televised over here. So it doesn't matter what time of day, all the 3 o'clockers, any game at all on any network, we get them and I can see them. So over the festive period, fantastic because I can watch whatever I want. Um,
Absolute show off.
Yeah, it's been really good. But yeah, just briefly on Atletico, I think when
Hmm,
last time I left it, we were about to play our last game of the season, I think that's
true,
where we
true.
were at. Well, we went played Orlando City. We might have played that one, I'm not sure. But anyway, that was the last game of our regular season before we hit the playoffs. And we won ever so slightly with a 10-0 thrashing of Orlando City. So that was one of their under 23 teams, I think it is. It's their
Yeah.
youth development teams. So that was pretty good to take that type of momentum in. It put us in second place in the league. So first place, fourth, second place, third, and so on. But they changed it this year. So they mixed the conferences. We're in all Florida Central. There's Florida West, I think, and then Florida South. Florida South is so big they have their own playoff system, and they put us together with Florida West. So we played the team that was third in Florida West, which was Lakeland United. And we took our momentum going forward, I got to be honest. And that 10-0 did us well, and we won that one 6-0.
Nice.
So we're trucking along quite nicely. That was the quarterfinals.
Hmm.
Then we hit the semi-finals against a team from Tampa. So we're on the West Coast now. So we ended up playing, because of our high rankings, we ended up playing all the best teams from the West. So we then played a team called Shock City, which is based in Tampa. And tough game, mainly because of the officials. Again, I think I mentioned this before. We get these part-time officials. They're not well trained. It's not their fault. They do other things, and they're doing their best. The problem is, a lot of the time, their best just is annoyingly bad. um, so they gave, excuse me, they gave away, gave the other team a penalty early on, which shouldn't have been given. Which eerily similar to, by the way, just taking a sidestep into the Premier League, the Jota stumble kind of was a little bit of a, well, was that really a penalty? It reminded
Yeah.
me of what we went through with ours. It shouldn't have been a penalty. Either
Right.
of them, neither of them should have been a penalty. But anyway, we put us 1-0 down. We fought back and we won 2-1. So we're now in the our conference finals, which is going to be this Sunday. If we win that, we then go to state championships to face the winner of Florida South was won their playoffs. And then once we've won that, we then go to the national championships, which the national playoffs is, I think, 4 rounds to get to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
So exciting times. The team's playing well. Our pro team, indoor team, started off their season this weekend.
Yeah, they did.
MASL, Major Arena Soccer League. We were away from home because we don't have our home facility yet. So we're playing all our games away from home this season. We won the first game 9-7, and then we unfortunately lost the second game last night 6-5. But an amazing turn up from the players for the first time playing as an indoor team. So we're going forward with that. Momentum is on our side for sure, which is great.
That's wonderful to hear, man. And yeah, but I've been watching the indoor football games because they're available on YouTube, which you can look up. I think there might be a link in the description for.
There is
Um,
indeed a link in the description.
there's a link in the description down below.
Yes.
And yeah, it was fun watching it because obviously it's not. I didn't know what I was watching, to be honest, when I turned it on. I didn't, indoor football. Just assumed it would be 11-11 and all that sort of stuff. It's not. There's ice hockey rules in it. There's blue cards. Um, cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. But it was good. And yeah, we'll keep everyone updated, of course, on all things Atletico Orlando, the official football team of Do You Know the Score podcast. Gonna do that every time until we are.
Love it.
Um, but yeah, this is episode 14, by the way.
Oh, welcome to episode 14, everyone.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Gavin.
Yeah, we remember the spiel. Yeah. So yeah, it's been interesting with things lately. Football wise, of course. We went in. So going to Christmas, Arsenal are top.
Yep.
Come out of Christmas into the new year, Liverpool are top. Um, Arsenal kind of taking a bit of a nosedive lately. Not
Yeah.
having a striker, I think, has really been affecting them. Where do you see things going with Liverpool at the moment? Because I'm starting to see a team put together at the minute. They really are all on the same page. My only sort of question for you as a fan is you're going to be missing two players, I believe.
Two.
Salah and Enzo.
Endo.
Endo, not Enzo, not the Enzo. Endo. um,
Enzo was someone we were trying to sign over the
oh
summer,
yeah,
and he went to Chelsea with Moises. And I'm very, very glad that they did go to Chelsea, not to us, with the performances that they've put in versus the players that we've got. Now, that kind of leads me as a really nice segue into answering your question. Endo has been great for us.
yeah,
It took him a couple of games to get settled, but my God, he's been great. Sly also has been fantastic. We've got so many midfielders that you would normally see as like, I will put them on the bench and bring them on. But what we've got is almost like rotational players that come in and do a job, really good job. And some of them, like Gravenberg, who else? Elliot, of course, Gakpo, they can
yep,
also be put in those front positions as well and switch back and forth depending on how everyone's playing. So we've got a really, really good utility belt of players, as it were,
sure,
which I think, although we're going to miss Endo, absolutely, I do feel like we've got adequate alternatives that can change the way we play
yeah,
with that strength of depth that Klopp, the genius, managed to bring in on a much smaller budget than it would have been had we bought those other players who aren't playing as well as the players that we bought.
yeah.
So
No,
from that
absolutely. But
perspective, I think it's great in the midfield. Up front, so obviously Endo we're losing because of Japan, which is a different
yeah,
story with Salah, who's away with Egypt for
Afcon,
the
yeah,
AFCON.
yeah,
Jota coming back. My God, that's it's so good to see him back and playing like he is.
hmm
And I think with the players around him, we're not. I don't think we're going to have one standout player that's going to replace the goals from Salah,
Yeah,
but I feel comfortable that between them all, they'll find the back of the net. Nunez, I'm not so sure if he will find the back of the net. That seems to be a big problem for him, but at least he's
yeah.
always there and contributing in some way.
I was going to say, at least he's providing assists. At least he's
Yeah.
putting, he's putting things on plates for people to do. Like the only thing I was going to say is like, you've got Haaland and Salah, both currently joint top goal scorers
Mm-hmm.
in the league, and obviously he's been a massive part of pulling you over the line. I think like last season he probably had a bit. We could consider it an off season for Salah.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
so he's back, looking like the real deal again. But now you're going to potentially have him out for. I mean, I don't know how good Egypt are in terms of Afcon. I don't know if
They got to the final last year
okay,
against.
so
I think it was. Is it Senegal? Yeah, it's whoever Mane plays for. Because we had Salah versus Mane in the two of our
oh
best players last time were out until the very final. I
right.
was willing one of them to get
'Cause
knocked out so we could have one of them back, but we lost two of them for the whole thing.
the interesting thing here is that Man City have been off the boil generally, but are
Mm-hmm.
starting again to come together. But we can't seem to keep a clean sheet to save our lives. Um, but they're the only team in this conversation of top fours and winning the leagues and everything like that. We don't have a single player going to any of these tournaments.
True.
Everyone else has got 2, 3 players. So it'll be interesting to see if that because when we had like Yaya Toure and um Mahrez going away and stuff like that. We used to feel that,
Mm.
I don't know if it's been on purpose that they've purposely not bought anyone from AFCON just to make sure that they never lose them for the season. I don't know whether that's like a proper targeted thing.
I'm not sure it
Um,
is because
but
then you'd have to try and avoid the Asian players as well because that's why we've lost Endo
we
and like
don't have any of
mid.
them either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm not sure they'll have deliberately said, right, no Asian, no African players, just in case their country qualifies and does well for their national competitions or
Well,
their international competitions. Sorry.
no, but it's going to be an interesting run for sure. Everything's all topsy turvy. Actually watched back the episode we did where we sort of re-predicted our top four.
Yeah.
Just to sort of remember how this works as a format for being away for so long. And oh god, some of the takes, man. Like we were both very sort of shy to say anything about Liverpool
Mm,
doing what they're doing at the minute. Um, my take about Arsenal falling off was pretty spot on. But yeah, it's certainly all topsy turvy after Christmas. This is now the business end of the season. I think this is the part where
yeah.
you know teams go on runs.
Hmm.
Teams properly drop off. Your metal is really shown, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all develops now going forward.
For sure. I mean, Liverpool, I've always, for the whole season, I've been nervous to be really confident. Mainly because we'd replaced our whole midfield and it just didn't feel like it was gelling everywhere. And Nunes with his misses, it felt like there was something missing. And I was wondering whether we'd get to January to see if we could fix whatever that missing piece is. And
Yeah,
it seems like Klopp's found that missing piece, whatever it is, within the team, like he normally does.
I
He's
think it's a man management thing. It's one of the reasons why I think Jurgen Klopp is a brilliant manager is the fact that he can galvanize, he can um, bring out the best in the players that you're not necessarily going to like look at on paper and go, he's going to become world class. He's going to
sure.
be a productive person. It, I liken it to shoot onto something else that I like. It's just wrestling,
Hmm.
but I shoot it onto the idea of a company from years ago called ECW who had all the sort of reject wrestlers of the big companies and stuff.
Sure.
I'm not saying your players are reject players. That's not what I mean. But what I mean is one of their one of their ideas was that they took these wrestlers who had limited skill sets or specific skill sets, and they
Hmm.
amplified those and hid the weaknesses. And I think
Sure.
Klopp is brilliant at doing that. He picks players who he knows is going to fit his scenario, his system, how he wants to play. And I think as long as you've got two legs, as long as you've got a lot of stamina, and you're willing to run for 90 minutes,
Hmm.
you can be molded then into what he needs. Take for example Pep Guardiola though. One of the things is he needs players who are clever enough, intelligent enough to do intricate, specific. I know again, not saying that Klopp doesn't do that, but what I mean is like
Yeah.
the foundations of the two things are well different.
Sure. Sure.
Um,
I can see that.
you know that kind of the way that we want to play and the way that a lot of teams have adapted that evolution of like what Cruyff did and
Yeah.
stuff. Um, you can't just put anyone at right back or left back and go,
Hmm.
you're doing this now. You can't. You can't. You've got to have those players in, and I think with Klopp's, it's very much a case of he's created a culture of people that will fight for that group of people.
Yeah.
And that's where, like you say, someone like Gravenberch comes in, not too sure at first. Now he loves it. He believes it. He feels it.
Yeah.
And I think Klopp's really good at bringing people into that and making them part of that. And that's
Yeah.
why you do these things where you can compete against, the money, a squad which has good resources, who can buy superstar players, who can, it would
Sure.
theoretically dominate all the time. That's why you're always there. Why I'd always put Liverpool above a team like Arsenal, like Spurs, like Manchester United, like Chelsea at the minute, as
Mm.
a team that will have a fight, have a go. And
Yeah.
I'm more confident or comfortable saying something that they will come back and they will dominate, or they will, this is a blip or whatever,
Yeah.
than I do with those other teams, because I don't see the same heart and desire coming out of them. That's just,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
one thing I've
There's
noticed for sure over this. Because sorry to cut you off, but
no,
like
go for it.
just watching this Christmas period and stuff. Um, there's a big run of games. Everyone has a moan about it. You guys have had. I mean, I think I said to you, it would be really hilarious. I think to work out if you take those incredibly specific VAR incidents out and think about how many points you'd probably be leading by now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Uh,
Well, I mean that's kind of what I was going to say. Not necessarily on the VAR thing, but performances in general. If you look at our performances this first 3-4 months of the season leading up to Christmas, there's been stuff that needs improving. Everyone would like to see, or not everyone would like to see, but you'd expect to see an improvement from certain players in the squad, and the squad harmony is getting better tactically.
yeah.
So if you take that, there's going to be an improvement. As
Mm-hmm.
in addition to that, we're also top at the moment. That can be positive for a Liverpool fan and scary for other fans that we're in that position, yet with more to give. And then when you add in the spice of the fact that VAR has been what it's been to Liverpool this season,
Yeah.
is quite incredible.
Well, it's been a thing of like you're not letting it affect you. You're not letting it get you down. It's not
Sure.
showing on the pitch. There's not a lot of frustration. Um, you're almost sort of galvanized by it, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting. I think we're starting to get an idea of
Yeah.
who's going to be one and two,
Yeah.
which order it's going to be in. That's going to be the fun thing.
Yeah. That's going to
Ah,
help. For
say
me,
fun.
that depends. That's going to depend on how much of an impact Kevin De Bruyne has now coming back, and is he going to be the one that helps push you guys forward? That missing link that you've kind of had, the grey area of performances you've had the past month or so, where he's been out, is
It's
is
been
his
it's
impact going to be big?
I think it will be bigger. I think it's just because he's an impact player that comes in
Yeah,
and does, you know, him not having him and Haaland in it changes a lot of
sure.
the dynamic. Now, don't get me wrong; they still figure out a way to do the business kind of thing. But defenses are more terrified when Haaland and De Bruyne are in the team.
Hmm.
Does it just it's a psychological thing more than their individual performances that we've
Yeah.
talked about it at length at nauseum. I think about like how they affect teams and when they're contributing or not contributing, what it does for the club. I think defensively we've got players that are still trying to figure it out
Hmm.
because Klopp's kind of gone away from inverted fullbacks
Sure.
into this kind of you still go to a 3 when you're defending, sorry, when you're attacking, and then you come back into a 4 when you're defending.
Hmm.
And but you bring a person from the center into the middle now instead of from the wing, from the left or right back position.
Sure.
And it is causing confusion because you end up with like 3 centre backs and a right back,
Hmm.
and the centre back who is probably on the left, which is normally Gvardiol, isn't quite isn't quite on board yet. And
Yeah.
I think that John Stones being injured, Ruben Diaz being a bit off the boil, hasn't really helped because, like I think I said to you off camera, off recording, that we haven't kept a clean sheet in so long.
Mm.
Um, there's a reason why, and Edison's not the best shot stopping goalkeeper. He's more of a utility to fit in with the group.
Mm.
You stick Edison. I think honestly, genuinely stick Edison in like Everton or um, you know, a team down the lower end of the table that sees more shots.
Yeah.
It's not gonna get well. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. We're getting players back at a perfect time
Yeah.
for everyone else losing some players because of international duties. So hopefully, from my perspective, we can capitalize on that, but we will see. We will
Time will
see. We
tell.
will see. We will. So, new year, new me. What we do is have a little bit of a 2023
Hmm.
honorable mentions list. This is going to be well. In my case, I did this when we talked about this online. I thought that we were doing a starting 11,
Sure.
so I've done 11. Gavin's done a list of players, so I will sort of do a little bit of twisty turning to try and get this thing. Want to preface this to people listening by saying this isn't necessarily who we think are the best players in the Premier League in those positions. Okay, that's very important because I know I've seen people in comment sections and gross. So I've done it a bit anyway. My 11 are the players that I think have contributed most in that position for various teams.
Hmm.
I think that without them, they would be, worse off. So they've exceeded expectation almost, and they've really pushed teams forward. Their um, presence is lost when they're not around.
Hmm.
Um, Stats, because we all love stats. And yeah, I've considered all that and made my 11.
There you go. Well, let's
Yeah,
start position by position, and then obviously
let's.
the two systems or the two
We
ways we've approached this should then match perfectly.
so you haven't got a formation then for yours?
Not really, but I've gone off the traditional. I would say traditional. What teams mainly play at the moment, with the midfield and forwards being set a certain way. Defensive midfielders, and then regular midfielders, attacking midfielders, then
Okay.
kind of like wingers, and then strikers.
So I've just done a standard 4-3-3.
Hmm.
And
It'll fit the same. I would have thought.
yeah, defensive midfielders, attacking midfielders, and standard central midfielders are all in the same gumbo. I've not thought about this. So this isn't a tactical thing either.
No.
So if I've got 2 players or 3 players together, and you're like, "That's stupid," they're all this.
Imbalanced. Yeah, no, we're not
It's
talking about
imbalanced because it's not the point.
that. Yeah. So let's start off with goalkeepers then. It should be a
Okay,
fairly straightforward conversation. I would have thought.
we'll
Um,
see.
we'll see. Right. So for me, the best goalkeeper that we've got in the Premier League right now is the one that's playing the best as well, and that's the one we've got, Allison.
Okay,
I
here we
there are
go.
straight away, is it?
There's
There are
11 Liverpool players in this.
there's disgustingly few Liverpool players in the rest of mine, by the way. But yeah,
Fair enough.
Allison for me there. I'll give a few names and then we'll chat about the different back and forth. So, I one of the goalkeepers that I know gets a lot of work out by getting the ball out the back of his net, but I think based off, I approach this the same way as you, Jordan, in the which these players have done most for their teams in their positions. And
Yep.
one player in particular stands out to me in the goalkeeping position, and that's Jordan Pickford. I know he picks the ball out of the net a lot for Everton because they do concede. They face more shots, like you say. But the way that he can command his area and organize that defense into what has been a fairly solid defensive unit. It's not their fault that Everton have had all their struggles scoring, which is
Mhm.
why they're in the position they're in. Having said that, give them their 10 points back and they're almost mid-table. They're like 12th, I think, or 13th. So
Right.
they're not necessarily the relegation team that people are used to seeing with Everton or that you might expect them to be because of where they're at now. There's a 10-point deduction. So for me, I think Pickford's got to get a mention. I'll throw those
Okay.
two names in. You throw a few more in and then we'll chat
Yeah.
more.
So my goalkeeper is actually not necessary. I don't think people go, "Oh yeah," but mine's Alfonso Ariola from West
Uh-huh.
Ham.
Yeah.
Now, I've looked at certain things. I've looked at think like stats, save percentages, conceded goals, etc. But like I said, I looked at it at players who have contributed to their team,
Hmm.
and I think Areola has been really, really positive in goal. He is Vicario and Allison and Areola are the three got the best save percentages in the league so far.
Sure.
And West Ham, yes, they're rickety, yes, they're up and down and stuff, and some days they can get smashed by a team, and the next day they're smashed. They're doing the smashing. I get that, but I'm looking at where West Ham might be without him,
Sure.
and I'm pretty sure he's the backup goalkeeper for West Ham.
Right. I
If
think
I'm
you're
not
right.
mistaken, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he is. I think he's come in for an
Hmm.
injury, and since then he's been brilliant, really good for them, and yeah, I think contribution wise to what
Hmm.
West Ham have achieved and how much better they've been this season, jumping onto last. I'm putting Areola in the conversation, and then the other person, then because I'm shifting a little bit, Martinez in goal for Aston Villa, the third man,
Yeah.
the
He's
third man,
also
and
he's
he's a
another one on my
safety.
list. Another one on my list. I didn't want to put him in um because of World Cup because that's not what this is about. All
No,
the, but for Villa, he's done a job again. Like Pickford, it's not necessarily what you do shot stopping because there's some goalkeepers that are amazing when standing in the way of the goal. But what Martinez can do is affect what's going on around him.
mm-hmm.
The defenders, the everyone that's that line in front of him, very good at marshalling that. So that's another reason why he's on my list as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But
So should we pick a goalkeeper?
I don't think we necessarily need to because
No.
like me and you were talking about separate to this, the, depending on the situation, depends on who you have in each role. So you're looking at the chemistry and the balance, and I think
Yeah,
I'm not. Yeah, I think
that's boring.
they've all got their merits for all different reasons, and I feel like we've covered them really really well there.
Excellent.
If you're
Excellent.
happy
Moving
with
on.
that, let's
Yeah.
move on to right backs.
Right. Bigly back. Do you want to go? Should I go first this time?
You go first this time.
Yeah, I'm gonna go first this time.
You go first
So
this time.
I actually had two players in mind, right?
Okay.
But I ended up going with Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Mm.
Now, I'm surprised that that doesn't surprise you a bit more because I've always said that I think Trent Alexander-Arnold is a terrible right back, but he's a brilliant utility right back. As in, you know what I mean? Like that, a
That's
right back.
yeah.
Well, you know, we talked about it with Southgate, right? Why doesn't he play Trent? Well, because Trent would be awful in the way that Gareth Southgate plays football. He wouldn't. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't go well for him. I don't think.
Well, and
Um.
this just real quick
So
on that, so you know I'm on the same page as you, and why I'm not surprised. You see so many of these starting 11s or best 11s or like Shearer's starting 11 of the week and all that nonsense, where he puts players and other people put players in certain positions based on how they would play, which
yeah,
doesn't necessarily reflect the performances of the players. You know, so it's like you
no,
said earlier, this is about the player that's affecting the team the best. And there's no
exactly.
one that affects a team from that position better than Trent.
At the minute, I completely agree. His
Mm.
goal against Man City, you know, massive,
Yeah.
massive. He's been contributing to goals. He's been scoring. He's been assisting. He's been defending really well. Liverpool have done exceedingly well at not conceding many goals, if any at
Mhm.
all. And Trent has been a vital part of that, vital part of the press, vital part of the fact that they're first. And from that position, like I said, he's not necessarily the best right back in the Premier League, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a
No.
player in a position that's contributed to a team when he starts when he's on the list, the beginning of the beginning of the game, he's at right back, and I think he's been evolving and evolving and evolving over years. And yes, he takes his punishment sometimes, and sometimes he gets caught out on in defensive breaks and stuff like that. But that's the risk that you take playing the type
Mm.
of football that Liverpool do. Um, but yeah, for me, it's Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, the other person I was going to have was Kieran Trippier, but he's really fallen off the boil lately, so I wasn't
Yeah.
sure whether to put him in because a lot of Newcastle's woes have been defensively. And yeah, I was like I said, I've been loving Trippier all season. I think he's
Mm.
been phenomenal, but I just think Alexander Arnold's kind of gone above him. Kyle Walker, I hear you cry. Um, hasn't again part of again we're talking about people that Kyle Walker's not really gone above and beyond,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. Like he hasn't really
Sure.
stood out. He's done his job, and but we're conceding 3 goals here, goals here. We're losing. You know, he's part of it, and that's why I haven't included Cal Walker and I haven't included Reece James because injured all the time. Sick note.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, but
so
then
yeah,
again, this is the idea of this is 2023, right? So it's not just the last handful of games. The so that's why for me, I like you, I've put Trippier in this as well, because of what he's done for Newcastle, even with all the injuries they've had. You look when you watch their team. If you can pick out one player that's the spirit of Newcastle, it's Trippier, and I
yep,
think that's why he needs an honourable mention in this. He's not been ripping up trees. You're right. The same as Kyle Walker. But there's something there, like a bit like Martinez. I put him as a goalkeeper, right? There's something there that I really like. That spirit. Maybe that's uh, um, uh, an offshoot of being a Liverpool fan. You see that spirit, so you recognize that a lot. So you appreciate it when you see it in others.
mm-hmm.
The other one is Ben White. Although Arsenal have fallen out of the tree recently, again, I think he's another one that's been doing a job there. A more traditional right back, probably someone that
Right,
someone like Alan Shearer would appreciate more. Um,
British.
but yeah, Trent for me. I like you, Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier. They were names that I wanted to put in there. Like I said, Ben White as well for me.
Mm-hmm,
Those
mm-hmm.
those are the kind of the four right backs.
Yeah, and I honestly believe that like Kieran Trippier should be in the conversation for internationals.
Yeah,
Um, much more so than he is. I think he's been phenomenal. for Newcastle. Like I said, just fell off the boil a little bit in the last
Yeah.
month or so, and I just felt that some of the things that Trent's done has
Yeah.
impacted games, and certainly the position where Liverpool are in right now more so than any other one else in that
Yeah.
position.
I
Right
do feel sorry for Trippier and others. Like you say, he deserves something for England. He's not going to get it, but we all know that's because of the way England operate, and that is that club level doesn't matter one bit. It doesn't matter about your standard, what you're doing at club level, your form at club level. It doesn't matter if you're not even playing at club level. That's not what matters for England, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that's why I think the Trippier won't get anything there, and others will. So,
Cool.
which is very unfortunate. And again, a conversation for another time about England, which I'm dying to have, and I know you don't really fancy it. Let's move on to centre backs. I'll
Yep.
go first this time, and I'm going to throw a name in here, which probably isn't one that anyone would be expecting. But again, going off what they're doing.
Is it Van Dijk?
No.
What?
No. You expecting me to say Liverpool players all the time?
Yeah. You've done 2 for 2 already.
2 for 2. No, I'm going Crystal Palace here.
What?
I know, right? I'm
Simon
going.
Jordan's alpha mater.
It's not because of him, because I really don't like him. No, but I tell you someone I do like is
Go on.
Mark Gay.
Hey. Nice. Good
There's a
player.
player that
Didn't think of him.
needs no, but he's for Palace. He's done a job. You know, Palace are
Yeah.
what are they, 12th or something? They're in there. They're in the middle. They're doing really well. For them, a team that you'd expect to be the whipping boys or one of the whipping boys of the league. And I
Yeah.
think Mark Gay is one of the ones that's really helping out there. He definitely needs a mention. The other one, youthful, but probably more obvious, is Saliba. I think another one
Yeah.
there over the year. Those are two that have kind of stood out for me as doing a job in that position for their teams. Um, you can't have a discussion about centre backs without talking about Virgil, Stones, and Diaz. Though those are the ones that I think most people would go, well, yeah, without actually
Yeah.
looking into what everyone's doing. Those are
Now,
popular choices, popular kids
I'm
at school.
going to be controversial here, and I wouldn't put Diaz in this conversation at all.
Okay.
I don't think Diaz has been particularly good. Generally speaking, Ake has definitely eclipsed him.
Yeah.
Akanji is doing better than him at the
Yeah.
minute. Stones, when he's fit, is better than him at the minute. I don't know. Like I said, we're talking performance here. Now, as a leader, as a as that kind of voice in the club, Diaz is important. But just haven't. I haven't felt him this year. I haven't felt him the last for parts of
Sure.
last season as well. And I do think there are other players that have been better. Like Virgil van Dijk was on my list. I think not only are you talking about creation and stuff, but you're also talking about like his passing, his prowess, his positioning on the what he contributes when he's there compared to when he's not.
Sure.
The other day's game against Arsenal in the FA Cup is a phenomenal example of how it can be very disorganized and disorientating in that defense when he's not around.
Sure.
So he's vital. Blocking is like if we're looking at it from a stats point of view as well, he is one of the highest performing midfielders, defenders in the Prem at the minute.
Sure.
Again, a contributor to why Liverpool are where they are. The other one is I was thinking of was actually Christian Romero at
Sure.
Spurs before his injury.
Yeah.
He was brilliant. I mean, scoring goals as well. I think he had 3 or 4 before he went off on injury.
Yeah.
But he, statistically and everything like that, in all those positions where you want him, he's always been there. I think it's a massive reason why Spurs, a massive contributor to Spurs' lightning start at the beginning of the year, because Spurs didn't concede much at that point. They weren't losing games. Christian Romero is another player that I think deserves an honourable mention, because I think he's been very much a standout and a player that not a lot of people, I think, give flowers to, because I don't know. It just he doesn't appear. You know what I mean? He's one of
Mm.
those players that's there and he works hard, but and like I say, he's been injured, so
Yeah,
sadly he's not been able to keep that going for the rest of the season. But yeah,
nice.
Christian Romero.
And that is a player that when you say you go, yeah, of course. But I think a little bit like when players have bad patches, like 3 or 4 games before one of these type of discussions happens, they get left out. I think you're right there with his injury. That's probably the reason why he slipped my mind for his injury. But yeah,
Yeah,
before then, absolutely.
I thought him and
Rock solid.
Saliba at the beginning of the year were the two best
Mm,
centre backs, looking
yeah,
like these are two that are going to start, take it,
sure.
becoming part of that conversation of the top centre backs in the Prem.
Yeah,
Except with Romero, like I said, shame he's injured.
right. Well, I tell you what, let's slide to the left.
Crisscross. Body clap your.
Yeah.
That's
So,
right.
all right, your turn to go first, is it?
Yeah, Alfie Doughty from Luton.
Oh, I like it.
Now, I know Luton Town. What am I on about? Right, 4 assists.
Mm,
Right, as many assists. Sorry, as many chances created as both Mo Salah and Jeremy Doku.
yeah,
Same as those guys. All
yeah,
right. He's a vital, pivotal reason why Luton are still in the scrap. Now, don't
yeah,
get me wrong; they're not out of the scrap by any means, and they probably
sure.
are going to still go down and all that kind of stuff. But there's a reason why they're still in the scrap, and I think
Yeah.
he is actually a brilliant defender. I honestly believe if and when Luton go down, he'll be a player that will be poached by a Premier League
Yeah.
team
Yeah.
because his contribution has been phenomenal this
Yeah.
year for a team that are really up against it every single game. And like we said, the reason they're still in a fight in chance is because of certain players.
Hmm.
That's one of them.
That's a really good shout. And you've inspired me to give you my unusual shout as my first one. Maybe unusual, I don't know. Estupinian for Brighton.
Sorry, it's Gesundheit.
I think he's done a great job there as well. Assists, affecting their play, being a key player for them. So yeah, I think Estupinian definitely needs a mention for what he's done this season. Again, a type of player like you're saying that could get poached by one of the bigger teams. I think
Yeah.
in previous years probably would have been already, but because of like Brighton, Crystal Palace, and all those teams mixing it up, those type of players stay with those teams. It's not like when Southampton had all those great players and we just came along and said, "We'll have those, thank you very much."
What were they your development team for a while? Arsenal
So
were ours for a while, to be honest.
yeah, true. So yeah, Stupinian is my first one there.
Cool.
I'll go with a traditional, obvious on the nose choice for the next one and go for Robinson. Uh, I Robertson, sorry.
Yeah,
Not
I was about
Robinson.
to say, who the hell's Robinson? Well, that's
uh,
4 Liverpool players, by the way.
is it?
Everyone keeping score. Yeah, could we have a Liverpool ding tally at the corner there?
And there is 4. Yeah.
Oh, there's shockingly few Liverpool players in my team. Tell me about how your left back's brilliant, Gavin. Go on.
Oh, he is, but injured at the moment, so he can't do anything for us at the moment. But
He is.
over
Done.
2023, honorable mention has to be for Robinson. I would still put Estupinian, and the other one I would also put ahead is Zinchenko.
Really?
I would.
Oh. See, this isn't sour grapes because he left and we made bank on him, and now we're net spend champions of the world as well as world champions of the world. Thanks, Alexander. But I always find that Arsenal play better when they're using, is it Minamino? Mitomo? They've got,
Mitoma?
I don't know.
No.
They've got I think there's a Japanese guy who plays left back for them.
Yeah.
Can't remember exactly what the guy's name is. But I honestly think that they play better with him. than they do with Zinchenko. Zinchenko is not a left back. He's a person who Guardiola chucked there because he went to Guardiola and went, I want to play, I don't want to get sold. Because we were looking at selling him.
Yeah.
I want to play, I don't get sold. And he went, fine, you can do the left back role because either they're injured, they're in jail, or Delph is playing there. So you and Delph can go over there and learn how to left back if you want to stay here. So I don't find him as an effective player for left back, to be honest with you. And I think that unless you're doing inverted left back nonsense, you're doing that kind of 3D chess stuff. I think that he's not that, and I don't think he's much of a contributor for Arsenal either. Like, yeah, there's a reason he got sold.
No, okay, I get you.
Love him though. Have you seen him? Have you seen his rap?
I have not. I'll have to look that up.
I'm gonna send it to you after this. My God, he did a rap in Ukrainian, and you don't need to know what's being said to know that it is bad. But great player.
So who would you have at left back then? Who's your left backs?
It was Doughty. I just picked him.
Okay.
I don't think, like I said, I don't think anyone else really stands out to me too much as like honorable mentions. Again, we're talking about players like, Robertson does a job, and that's the job. It's his job. I just realized what I was doing there. You don't congratulate the mailman when he delivers the post. But yeah, you know what I mean. Like, I don't think anyone's really stood out to me as being like really standing out and being above and beyond what they're capable of. Like, everyone else have just kind of seen them and gone, yeah, they're doing what they're meant to do.
Sure.
So yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to central midfield then. So we're lumping them all in together.
We are.
For me, then I would. I mean, there's a few. Like I said, I've done them all. I've not done like a 2 midfielders, 3 midfielders, or whatever. I've just started writing down which ones have done well for their team. And I think the first one is Erdegaard at Arsenal. I think he's been pivotal in getting them to the top of the tree, which they've since fallen out of by the looks of it. But
for everyone that's not Norwegian listening, sorry, I'd have to say that Erdegaard is Erdegaard. Just so you all know who he is. Sorry, you said
Odegaard.
Yeah, you said it in the Norwegian, right, which was accurate, and I'm sure Erdegaard would be happier with that. But it's Erdegaard for us commoners.
Or Odegaard. I've also heard Odegaard, which really does.
Odegaard.
So
anyway, Erdegaard.
Erdegaard. Yeah, there's one for me. Also Rice. I think Rice. Those two have been pivotal, like I say, in why they got to where they got to. In addition, I think for the year 2023, I think Kevin De Bruyne has to be talked about as one of the main playmakers, one of the main reasons Man City have won as much as they've done. A lot of the trophies that you showed off in that picture, you had them all lined up. I think.
Yeah, I remember.
Kevin helps get you to that point. He doesn't always help in the moment, as we've seen in Champions Leagues. He decides to take the night off. He might come on to play for a little bit, but then he's going to sit back and watch everyone else win it. He'll be in for the photos later.
That's what it is. like how Mo Salah skipped out of the Champions League final against Real Madrid when they won. He's just like, I'm not feeling it, lads.
I didn't fancy trying to get revenge, so I'll sit down. Yeah, exactly. It's the same. But no, honestly,
identical.
Honestly, though, for City to get to where they've got to, they do rely on Kevin's playmaking stuff. So Kevin's got to have a mention for me. The other one that's kind of like a little bit of a spark, which I'd like to see how this develops, is Cole Palmer, a player that you told me about years ago when he was in the youth system at City, as a player that really is going to go places. And I think he's had the odd spark at Chelsea, and he's done some incredible stuff, but not at a consistent level yet. So there's one. I think he's one to watch to see if he can develop on that and become the player that he shows glimpses of every now and again.
Sure. I'm not going to say anything positive about Cole Palmer. No,
I wouldn't.
No, he is genuinely good.
So Rodri, I think also has to have a mention. Let's throw another City player in there as well. Why don't we?
Yeah,
Um,
well, he was going to be on my list, to be honest.
yeah. Again, a solid player that is just so crucial. Helps sew the whole thing together. I think Pep Guardiola's done an amazing job to bring all those players into one team to work like that. And there's some other players coming up in a minute that I'm going to discuss in the same way for other positions. But yeah,
So I'm going to go for mine
go for it.
because I'm no. So you put Erdegaard
Hmm.
in that, so I'm going to put Phil Foden in it.
Okay.
The reason I'm putting Phil Foden in is because, like we said, sick note De Bruyne over here hasn't been around for a bit, so someone had to go into that role, and I think he's more than shown that he should be in the consideration for that position, even when De Bruyne is back. He probably
Okay.
won't be, but he's really helped Man City tick over when you lose a key playmaker.
Sure.
Like for him to come in and do that when there is doubts, there is question marks about him. He doesn't get to play for England because he doesn't play up the middle. Um, but he's been doing that for Man City, and Bernardo Silva's been out on the wing. But got to give Phil Foden some
Yeah.
flowers here because I think he's really been
Mhm.
phenomenal this year compared to this season. Sorry, compared to last season. But in
Yeah.
2023, De Bruyne's had a couple of knocks over the whole year, and Foden's had to step in. And when he has, I think he's delivered. I think he's performed. I think he's really filled the shoes of what a player who people are considering one of the best creative midfielders the Premier League football's ever seen. He's in that conversation of with
For sure.
all the greats that people have been having.
Mhm.
And Phil Foden's come in and gone, mine. I'm having that. And I think he's been phenomenal. Rodri again. Now it's going to be my Man City bit, but midfield wise, I think Man City are brilliant with some of the players that they've got.
Yeah.
Um, Rodri, I think, deserves more flowers than Kevin De Bruyne as well. I think Rodri is our heartbeat. Or Rodri is people are starting to come on board with the Rodri. He's the best central defensive midfielder conversation, right?
Yeah.
But more so than being involved in that conversation, I think that, and it shows when he's not around, when he was suspended and when he gets hurt, we, and he's not playing in the team, we struggle. He was Fernandinho's understudy, and Fernandinho was in that role
Hmm.
um, for a long time. And then whenever Rodri came in, people were a bit like, this isn't working. You know, he's not quite the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same bulldog. It's not the same fighter. But what's happened is he's developed into this beautiful transition between attack and defense that
Yeah.
is incredibly important
Hmm.
for the way that we play. And he's missed when he's not there. He's scores vital goals. Champions League final goal. He was the
Yeah.
man.
Hmm.
Um, he was part of the FA Cup. He was a big part of us winning a treble. Has been a huge part of us winning the. I know people kind of go, Mickey Mouse trophies or whatever. They mean something to us. World Championship and the Super Cup.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm losing track of all these trophies. I forget what they're called. Um, no, but you know what I mean. Like, it's Rodri. Rodri is the
Yeah.
man. And another central midfielder that I'd like to give some props to, Pascal Gross
Oh, yeah.
of Brighton fame. Is it Brighton? Yeah, he's a Brighton player, and he's
Hmm.
brilliant.
Yeah.
And he's one of these players that is so good you don't know he's there kind of thing. He doesn't stand out. He's not one of those,
Hmm.
but he is an engine room. He is a ticking part of the cogs that make that machine work. And there's a reason again why they get to have why Brighton get to have this free flowing kind of style, and it's
Sure.
because of players like Pascal Gross who do that dirty work that goes not most of the time unseen. But he's a great transition between defense and attack
Sure.
for Brighton and gives them the ability to take it to teams
Hmm.
and compete. And yeah, and the other one I was thinking about was Lucas Paqueta.
Okay.
I I really like him.
Yeah.
I just really like him. Um, yeah, I think he does West Ham wonders.
Yeah, you're right, and that's the thing. Again, to reiterate, this is about what these players bring to their particular teams, and the reliance that these teams have on those particular players.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're absolutely right with those. Good shouts.
Thank you.
Should we move out to the right wing?
Oh, don't like right wing. Yeah, yeah. Right, that was
Do you wanna
political satire.
uh, the right of midfield, the
There
right
we go.
flank. There we go.
There we go.
So, do you want to go first, or shall I go first on this one?
You go first.
I'll go first on this one. I'm going to come up with one that maybe has fallen off a little bit towards the end of this period now. Is Neto at Wolves. The start of the season, he was crucial to the way Wolves were battering teams. Maybe not in the scoreline, but in their style of play. Their free-flowing attacking football on from their wing play has been it was so exciting to watch. Like I said, fallen off maybe a little bit now, but I think from where Wolves are, I think that's all because of how their wingers performed. So I think Neto has to be there for me, for them. I'll throw in my final Liverpool player, if you don't mind, at this point as well. And the main man, Salah, has to go in there. But that's
Oh,
it.
fair.
That's it. I'm done with Liverpool players.
Okay.
I don't think anything needs to be said about Salah that hasn't already been said. The fact that
Yeah.
that dude hasn't won a Ballon d'Or is criminal. The yeah. But
Yep.
we'll come on to that when we get to strikers. I've got something I want to bring up when we get there. But yeah, for me, from the right wing, Neto has been the standout player for me on the right wing, and Salah deserves a mention. Do you want to throw any other names at us?
Salah,
Yeah.
top goal scorer in the league with Erling Haaland. That's not, and from the right, which is,
Yeah.
brilliant player, great contributor to the club. One of the reasons why they're top. Same thing that I've said about every Liverpool player, I'm going to apply it to Mo Salah. But I also think that he's just a phenomenal character. Like, he's just a really good player. And I think that you're very, very lucky to have him. Very fortunate to have him, to be honest, because I think he's brilliant. I would have loved to have had a player like Mo Salah in my team, but I think he's probably one of the best wingers that the Prem's ever seen. I don't know if he's the best, but he's definitely one of.
He
in that
plays
conversation
differently, because what you're going to do is you're going to annoy people like Alan Shearer and Roy Keane with comments like that. Not that they listen to us, I'm sure they do, but
I'm sure they do.
To say that the best of all time when he plays a different way to, say, the way Beckham played, for example, and Giggs on the left, just as examples, it's a different style of play. You never saw either of them hitting the box and dribbling in from acute angles and creating chaos. They were great on the wing, what they would see as the traditional winger. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying it's a difficult conversation to have when style of players change so drastically that these players play in different ways. If you say Salah's the best in that position, or the right wing ever, you're including players who never got the chance to play that way, and you're not including Salah playing in the way that they did. If you forced Salah out wide right, is he going to be as effective and as good as David Beckham? And I don't think he would be.
No.
So,
but
I
I'm
see
just
where
saying,
you're coming from.
I'm just
modern day. Should we call it modern day?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying all the time because I think that everyone has their favorites and where what type of football you like. I watch people online go, I saw a FA Cup game highlight thing, and it was Man United versus Wimbledon, and it was pegged as like Keane versus Vinnie Jones.
Oh
and
yeah.
And I was just like, this is garbage. Like, I'm watching these brilliant players, these legends of football for Man United, and I was like, this is boring and it's slow and it's dull. But in the comments, it was just people going, "This is when football was football, men were men." Yeah, and I was just like, "Yeah, okay," but like, one of the reasons why Giggs has got to where he's got in this particular set of plays because everyone at Wimbledon stood still watching him.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you know, United obviously they went up against clubs that would close them down and would play better than Wimbledon. Of course, I'm using Wimbledon as a thing, but it's you know what I mean. It was just
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just I think Salah Salah, Ronaldo, those kind of players are
yeah,
in the conversation for the best in that position of all
sure.
time because they were just better.
Yeah,
Like, forget style of plays and everything like that. I'd put Beckham and I'd put Giggs up in those kind of things if we talk about all times. But I'd put Salah and I'd put,
yeah.
you
Actually,
know,
I don't disagree with you. In fact, I do agree with you that he is the best on the right hand side of the pitch that there's ever been. Um, but like I say, I'm just devil's advocate. I'm just putting forward the viewpoint that people might be screaming at us right now that you got to think of these players. And I personally,
I
I
don't.
agree with you, but it's a different style of play.
Also, I
So,
don't. I don't have to think of them any ever. I've got to do nothing. And my other one was Bukayo Saka. I think Saka's been. I think Saka's 6 goals, 6 assists. He's a contributing force. He is someone that causes problems. Um, Here's a stat for you that I really
Go on.
like. This is a good stat. He's had 39 successful tackles this season. Your
Right.
boy Salah's only got 13, son.
We're
So what?
talking about wingers now, forwards,
Yeah,
right?
but think about it though. I'm talking about work rate here. Tracking back, putting the miles in.
That's
You're
what's
you're you're the
the,
work rate team as well. You know
I
what I
know,
mean? Like,
I know, but now you're putting things on players about specific playing styles. Now you're saying about tracking back. That's like saying such and such a central defender scores goals.
I think
That's not
I
his
think
job. That's not his
it's
job.
not his job. I think that every single footballer on that pitch should be forward and back all the time, and I accept nothing less. And
I see where you're coming.
I think that Saka is a hardworking, talented young lad, and I'm sick
Yeah,
of people like you denigrating him just because he missed one penalty into
no,
Europe
no.
no one cares about.
Right. All right. Let me throw some
Sorry, I
stuff
went off
back
on
at you.
one then. I
You
went
did.
off on one then. Sorry, lost
I
myself.
like where you started with this with the 6 goals. I like it. That's good. I like that.
6 assists
Tracking
too.
back and yeah, okay, cool. We'll go with that. Tracking back and tackling, not so much. Let's talk about the goals. What's one thing that Arsenal are missing right now that everyone's saying?
Goals
From a striker,
from
right?
a strike. Yeah, from
There's
Ivan
so many
Tony.
people saying there's a striker. I'm telling you, they need a striker.
Oh
So
yeah.
what I can see where you're coming from, that Saka for Arsenal at the moment is fits the mold of what we're talking about here with important to the team, functioning the team. However, the only reason I didn't put him in was because if they had a striker, those 6 goals mean nothing. Those assists are rookie numbers compared to other right backs, left backs, even never mind wingers, right?
Need up those
So
numbers.
exactly. So
Boom.
those that's what for Arsenal right now with the holes they've got, he's the person that's filling those holes. If you fill those holes, he's not needed. Whereas with the Man City discussion, with a similar case of, but for injury reasons, with Kevin being missing, so you don't have that. You've had Foden filling in and doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? That's I like Saka. I think he's a great player. There's 20 teams in the Premier League that all have quality players. What I'm trying to look for here is what sets you apart. There are other wingers that have 6 goals, other wingers that have 6 assists, other wingers that have tackled and tracked back, right?
All right. Let me quantify it then
Go on,
into the topic that we're discussing, which is
please.
honorable mentions. And I
Yeah.
was looking at it from the perspective of players that have contributed and been
Yeah.
part of the reason why the clubs are where they are. Arsenal, the reason that they are in the conversation has to do with the fact that that kid
Yeah.
puts in the effort that to create, to try and fill that gap because they've got
Mm.
no striker up top, but also they're demonstrably worse without him. On the left,
Yeah.
on the other side, they've got Martinelli. On the other side, they've got Trossard. On the right, they've got
Yeah.
him, and they've got bloody. Well, they have to makeshift stuff with Gabriel Jesus, or so you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
if
No.
you take Saka out of Arsenal, they do infinitely worse than when you've put him in, and that's why I put him in there. I just used the
That's
rest of that
fair.
stuff for garnish. You know, a little bit,
To wind me up.
yeah, a little bit of basil, a bit of fragrance. You know,
Had you
but yeah,
attacked it that from that perspective, I get you.
yeah, but
But to go in like, oh, 6 goals and 6 assists, like, whoa.
and tackles. Know how much stats annoy you. That's one of the reasons why I was so happy when you mentioned this, because I was just like, oh, I'm going to stats him.
Right, do you want to go to the left wing?
Yep.
Do you wanna go
Fuming
first?
Son.
Heung-min Son. See, now that's
Min Son.
I've put him as striker because since Kane's gone, that's where they've been playing him.
Richarlison plays striker. Well, look,
Yeah.
he's essentially a left winger. That's what he's been for most of his
Yeah.
time. I put him as a left
Probably a lot
winger.
of-
That's
To be fair, I'll go along with this because he's on my list as striker, but I definitely put him on the left wing as well. So yeah,
yeah.
I'll go with that one.
But the reason I've put him in there, apart from the fact that he is a glorious talent, he seems like a really lovely man.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that when Kane left Spurs, everyone thought it's done now. Spurs can't do much. They've got new management, yeah. Of course, Postecoglou has helped. Son's become captain. He's a leader. He's a leader by example. Again, I think that he would be like Spurs would be arguably worse without him. I can't think of anyone in that team that can replace him, and I don't think anyone's going to. When I think he's off to a tournament as well, isn't he?
It'd be the Asian Cup.
Yeah, he's off the
same
Asian
one that
Cup.
Endo's gone to.
Yeah, so Spurs are going to massively miss him. 12 goals, 5 assists.
Yeah,
makeshift striker when he needs to be.
That's why I put him on the list. Yeah.
But a versatile, diverse player, which makes Spurs better than what they are without him, and they miss him. They'd miss him terribly. They're going to miss him terribly now. But he's a captain, and people when he got the captain armband, and one of them was a bit like, really him, but super galvanized the club, galvanized the team. Really makes you not miss Harry Kane being there.
Sure.
Which is boggling to say when you think about what that guy had to do to keep that team going. But maybe they should have used Son more. Maybe they should have put less onus on Kane, a bit more on everyone else. And like I think we talked about it with Postecoglou, the way that he puts things together. My other left wing shout out is Leon Bailey.
Oh.
For Aston Villa. Villa are a beautiful team at the minute. Playing really well. Honestly, if Man City don't win the league, I hope it's them. Because I like Villa. I like the way that they play. I think Emery is brilliant. But Leon Bailey, again, standout player. Really stepped up in this new season. So beginning of 2023, probably not, on people's radars too much. But I genuinely think he has stepped up, he's a dangerous player. He's constantly contributing to that club. And again, they're where they are because of people like Leon Bailey, but he stood out to me as a player that has really stepped up, especially at the start of this particular season up to now. And yeah, I think he's going to keep developing, going strength for strength for Villa. And those are my left wing options.
Nice. I'd agree with all those. I'd like to add another probably non-standard choice straight away. I'm going to go with that Korean guy, if you know who I'm talking about there.
Mitoma.
No. Hwang Hee-chan.
Hwang Hee-chan. The one that Pep Guardiola called that Korean player before he smashed you when they played you. Remember that dude? It's not specifically for that, but no, I actually don't remember that. I genuinely don't. I'm not being sarcastic. I honestly don't remember that.
The fact that Pep said that, it was a funny meme for a little bit, but yeah, I don't know whether it was exaggerated or lied about, but it's funny that he did that. So yeah, But yeah, Hwang Hee-chan, I think he's been part of the Wolves attacking force I've been talking about, the wing play from both Neto and Hwang Hee-chan. They've been dangerous. Um, yeah, it's that like Salah, the way that when Salah's on the ball, you think, oh, he's going to do something. He's going to run at you. You talk about that Wimbledon United game. Could you imagine Wimbledon standing still like that with Salah running at you? You won't be able to cope. So again, different styles of play. But I think Hwang is in the same style as Salah for that, and Neto as well, as running at the teams, creating issues that then get put away by other players. So therefore, he's not at the top of the assists list. He's not at the top of the goal scoring list. But I think he for Wolves, that's been a pivotal part of their play, has been their attacking wing play. So I want to put him there. The other one I want to mention is Grealish, for doing what he's done at City. Again, left wing, not necessarily where you would put him. And it's kind of like, who do we put there? Grealish, you go and do it. Or he's come on as a sub. I think he's grown in the position. Me and you joke all the time, of course, about the fact that he throws himself to the ground to win free kicks, which is rich coming from a Liverpool fan. Before you
You
say anything.
joke. You joke. I don't. I love Jack. How dare you? How dare you? Slander. Jack, if you hear this,
Yeah.
no,
Just
not me.
if
Him.
you hear this, keep diving because you're winning those really good free kicks.
Keep up the good work, Jackie boy.
uh, Funny jokes. Anyway, I think Grealish has done a great job there. He's grown into it. I thought that maybe, and we discussed the fact about him getting overwhelmed maybe with the occasion of now you're doing it for Man City. And I don't think it's got in his head. I think he can still put a game together. So I think Grealish deserves a mention on this list.
I would say so, thinking about it, actually, because I remember his first season with City, and it was zero contribution, barely any output.
Yeah.
And it's night and day to now.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't, again, I don't think that he's. The only thing about him is that when he's not around, I don't really miss him. Like
Sure.
on the pitch, you don't, if it's Grealish or if it's Doku, I'm like, oh, we're playing that way today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rather than, oh, if he's not in the starting 11, we're done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't feel that. He's not that kind of player to me.
It's probably through the personal growth. Like I said, the journey that he's made with the team, going from
Absolutely.
someone who looks like he was overwhelmed to now commanding when he does play in
Yeah.
a team like that. So it's an honorable mention. It's not like, oh, Grealish is number one or anything. It's just from a left winger point of view, someone I wanted to mention.
Sure.
So. Right, let's go into strikers, and a list of honours for strikers can't start without us talking about Messi. That's how it works, right? You put Messi in there.
I wasn't expecting that.
I thought you'd like that one.
I like Messi though.
I love Messi, but come on, how? Just a brief side note: how on earth Ballon d'Or? What are we doing here? He plays for Miami. It's not. It's not the player of the World Cup. He won that. Martinez won the best goalkeeper at the World Cup. We don't need to keep giving him trophies because of the World Cup. They've done that.
He's won. You know who won the World Cup? The Champions League in the toughest league in the world.
Alvarez.
Julian Alvarez.
I know.
Give him the Ballon d'Or then.
I know it's a different conversation, and it's another one that winds me up. But we did the FIFA World Cup best player. We did that. Now we're talking about the best player. Ballon d'Or was the best player for 23, right?
Yep.
And the majority of his time was spent in Miami. That can't be a player that wins the Ballon d'Or. And if it is, if he can be included in the Ballon d'Or list, surely he should be in our list as the best Premier League striker as well while we're at it.
Let's just do it. All right, cool. So Messi. God.
Right. Anyway, I wanted to put, because I was talking, I toyed with the idea of this being a 2023 list, as in all of 2023 or the first half of the season. So I'm going to put up Kane because he played for Spurs and was a pivotal part of their resurgence. Or not resurgence is the wrong way of saying it, but a big part of keeping Spurs where they were until Postecoglou took over. I don't think Spurs would be anywhere near where they ended up that summer if it hadn't have been for Kane putting up those numbers, scoring those goals, even with what was going on behind him. So I think Kane, even though he hasn't played obviously here since, or here, over there, since August, I think he deserves to be on the list.
Okay, I'm with that.
Another player, I mean, let's put the obvious one. Let's get that out of the way. Haaland. Although he doesn't put away 3-4 goals every game. Let's put it that way.
No.
He comes up clutch at times. Other times, it's great that you've got people like Alvarez and other players on the team to slot the ball away. It's almost like he's not a regular goal scorer. He's a regular contributor to the chaos that is every 20 feet around him. There's just his mere presence causes this issue around him. So there's always going to be something. So yeah, and the numbers he's putting up is just insane.
Yeah. I was gonna go with Haaland, obviously. Haaland.
Thank you.
Erling Haaland.
What do they kick? What's the instrument that these players kick? What is it called? What's one of those?
Ball.
Put an H instead of the B.
Hall.
So that's you're going through your front door and you're into your
Hall.
What's that double barrel player? Dewsbury Hall?
Hal.
Dewsbury
yeah.
Hall.
Dewsbury Hall.
The amount of times we say that letter correctly, the two A's together is one letter, and it's the A that we all say in those occasions. It's incredible that we talk about football, all, Haaland. We say it in the very sport, yet people insist on leaning in on the Haaland. So anyway, he should be in the list.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah. If you ask him, and he's been asked, how would you like your surname to be pronounced? He said, Haaland or Haaland is fine. I don't care. You know why he doesn't care? Because he's rich. And he's 6'4", and he can do what he wants.
It's probably because his dad was called that for so many years, they're used to it. So they just went, doesn't matter what you call us, we're fine.
But yeah, I his output's been ridiculous. He's just an incredible striker. He's revolutionized, I think, the way that Man City approach things tactically as well. I know that people will probably look at that and sneer or laugh about it, but genuinely watching Man City with plan Bs, Cs, and Ds is actually quite an interesting thing for us.
Yeah.
Like all of our managers since takeover really have been very close-minded, and this is how we play and this is what we do, and it's gone all the way up, which is why I think we've genuinely been in a position where we've won a league, not won a league, won a league, not won a league, not won a league, won a league. You know what I mean? Like this dominance thing hasn't really kicked in until Pep come in, because he came up with a couple of different things for different scenarios. Sure. And when, like I say, even with Haaland being in the team, that's not just a scenario. There's a plan A with him and a plan B with him, and I've talked about it again on the podcast.
Yeah.
You take him out, and then we've got the false nine idea, and we've got all these kind of things. So seeing him adapt to that and play in that, but then also when, like you said, when he's scoring his 3 or 4 goals a game, it's magic.
Yeah.
And when he's not scoring his 3 or 4 goals a game, he's creating for the rest of the club. And I honestly think that, and I know some people might actually argue that one of the things I've been saying is without his contribution, we wouldn't be where we were. Because everyone has this idea that we've got 2 starting 11s that are both equally as good as each other, and therefore, of course, we should do, And I've pointed out how many times that's wrong. When we talk about honourable left backs, I couldn't mention a Man City one because we haven't got one. But yeah, he is the reason. He is one of the major reasons we won the Champions League. His presence, not necessarily his goals and his assists in the latter ones. I know it's been pointed out that he didn't score in them, and he didn't. Yeah. But his presence makes it a situation where Rodri can score that goal to create that moment. Yeah. There's more to football than the XG and the assists and the goals, even though that's something that I've been mentioning a lot, but I know that still winds you up. but his presence makes it different, and it makes us a different beast.
Sure.
I can't say enough beautiful things about the man. I love him, and he's a brilliant striker. And I know there was this really funny meme of Pep crying after Aguero leaves, and he goes, "We can't replace him. We can't." And then Haaland's there, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
actually, we can."
exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, but there's a reason why I think Haaland's contributing to 4 of our 5 trophies that we won in 2023. Massively in every single one of them. You don't get to
Mm.
the finals of the FA Cup without Haaland's contribution. You don't get to the final of the Champions
Mm.
League without Haaland's contribution. I
Yeah.
dislike this kind of narrative thing that people have gone where they go, "Oh, unless you score in the final, you've done nothing." Like there's like rounds and rounds and games before that to get to that final.
That's what I was saying about Kevin De
And
Bruyne. It's exactly the same thing about him.
yeah. So I just think Haaland is undeniably the best striker in the Premier League at the minute.
Mhm.
Harry Kane will give shout out to because of 2023. He
Yeah.
was a really good striker, even if he did make Spurs managers relied on him too much, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which, in a way, even though he stepped up to that, and even with that, it made them predictable. And
Sure.
think, you know, like Postecoglou's done, he's changed stuff. But my other striker is actually Dominic Solanke.
Solanke. He's the other one I had as well.
I think he's brilliant. Such
Yeah.
a lovely, lovely striker to see. And again, someone I wouldn't be surprised is poached by someone. I mean, Arsenal need a striker.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'd fit in really well there. Chelsea definitely need a striker. I think he'd fit in well there as well. United need a striker. I actually think he'd fit in there. I think he's that good a player. I think because he's bringing Bournemouth like away. Like we were saying before about Doherty and the scrap with Luton. He's keeping Bournemouth so far away from the scrap.
Yeah.
Because he's just a contribute. He's just a brilliant, brilliant goal scorer. I think he's a really effective forward, and yeah, I really am impressed whenever I watch him. I think he's a dangerous player. He's a
Yeah.
dangerous striker as well. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is someone that I do want to give props to. I know that he's been injured a lot and he hasn't done much, but I just really like Dominic Calvert-Lewin for some weird reason.
Yeah.
Again, I think when he's fit and when he's able, he's a phenomenal contributor for Everton. We were sort of talking about that when we were talking about the Premier League at first and say this season, at first, and saying like defensively they're sorted, but what do they need going forward?
Yeah.
And I think with Calvert-Lewin's helped contribute to them.
Yeah. He was
getting out
injured
of
at the
this.
time. He was injured at the start when they were having their issues because their issues were that they couldn't convert. He's come back and I don't think he's quite settled yet. But he's getting there.
He's been part though of this defiant Everton who have gone, all right, 10-point deduction, we'll close that off pretty quick. And again, I think without Dominic Calvert-Lewin's contribution to that 10 points might still be, looming over them at this point in the season. So yeah, but those are my honorable mentions.
A quick one on Dominic Solanke as well. I really like him, and I think he's done a great job. You're not going to get where he is in the top scorers list already without being quality. But I'm also looking. I agree with you. I think he's going to get sold. I think one of the big teams is going to come in for him. I'm looking forward to that because that means we get a bit of kickback as Liverpool because we sold him to Bournemouth.
Did you?
We did, and part of the I think something like 20 million or something, and part of it was future fee, share of the sell-on fee. So,
yeah, was he not particularly good for you then?
He was okay, but a youngster, it just wasn't fitting in with what we had at the time with Firmino, Salah, Mane. We had all these players, and then we had him that was good, who we get money for. So it wasn't that he wasn't good enough for us. It's just we had other players at the time.
Yeah, not fair enough. Fair enough. Well, that was a good chat. Good 2023. It was a good 2023, wasn't it?
It was.
For those people. Sorry if we didn't mention your favorites or people in your teams, but do better next time. There's a whole year now.
It's a whole year.
Well, you got a whole year to impress us now.
just to reiterate, we're talking about players here that have done things for their club and in a good way, because there are players that have done things for their club in bad ways. And maybe we should have a New Year's dishonorable list. That'd be funny, wouldn't it? See
Yeah.
who's done badly both on and off the field for the
Who's
team.
been naughty or nice?
I guess some teams will be mentioned more than others in that one, but there we go. Yeah, this has been fun to put together. It really has. To try and think outside the box, because you see so many of these where it's a starting 11 and it's obvious, and it doesn't always reflect the actual performances of the players because of bias, because of favoritism towards certain teams like Liverpool and Man City. So I know we've put quite a few players in from both our teams, but I feel
I mean,
we've
don't put
also
me in
been
your boat,
biased.
dude. I was 3. You're like 7 or 8. But yeah, it's the same.
No, I think you'll find one, two, three, five. I put five in. So
Oh well, I put 3 in.
did you?
Yeah,
I'll go
I
back.
went.
I'll check VAR on that one.
I did. I did. Rodri. I'll say it now. Rodri, Phil Foden, Haaland.
Okay.
Those were
And you
my
didn't
3.
and you didn't talk about any other players.
Only when you brought them up.
You talked about them. You didn't say no. I'm not going to talk about them. They're not on my
Yeah,
list.
it's not what the thing. It's not what this is about. Oh, you trolled me
So we talked a lot about players from both our teams.
from both sides.
um, but yeah, I hope that we've also brought a spotlight to those players that over this season we feel at
Yeah.
least they've deserved to have the spotlight on them that they don't always get. They
I
should
know
have it
players
more.
like Haaland don't get the spotlight that they need at all.
Precisely what I'm talking about. There we go.
Oh,
Now I'm talking about players like Solanke,
yeah, Pascal Gross.
Gay, Pascal Gross, Estupinian. Those players that don't always get the
Bless you.
spotlight that they deserve. So yeah, next one's going to be after the next round of Premier League games, is it?
Yeah.
I thought so. We should have the FA Cup draw later today. So I'm looking forward to seeing who Wigan have got in the next round.
Dave Whelan's Barmy Army. Yeah, it should be fun. You know, I'm not like I say, I'm not really all in with the FA Cup yet. This isn't the meat and potatoes part yet. So
but it's interesting. But we can talk about the draw, see who's got a favourable draw, who hasn't.
And I'm going to introduce you to a game show called Tenable.
Oh my god!
When we oh yeah,
Okay.
Gavin, one of Gavin's friends, Warwick Davis, is on it. He's the host, and basically what it is there's a list of 10, and you'll get a question, and you have to pick the 10.
Okay.
So that's tenable. Do you get it?
Okay. I'm seeing where you. Yeah.
Fun. But I got a couple of tenables for you.
Sounds exciting. So next week's going to be the FA Cup draw. There's a round of games this weekend, isn't there?
Yeah.
Premier League. So we'll talk about those, and then tenable.
And a bit of tenable.
There we go.
It's my turn to quiz you.
There you go. Well, thank you all for listening, and thank you, Jordan, for actually turning up. It's been nice to have you back after this long extended break. So
I got P45 through from the boss of this, so I had to turn up for work, otherwise I'd be fired. It turned out so. Terrible. But thank you all for listening. Absolute legends for everyone that's ever shared this, listened to this, like this, whatever they do. Please follow us on all the social medias at Do You Know The Score on everything, barring Twitter, X, because yuck. We're on YouTube. Like and subscribe, a notification bell, all that good stuff. If you want to email us at doyouknowthescore@gmail.com, get involved in that. You can actually tell us how terrible our takes are, how brilliant our takes are, suggesting ideas, topics we can discuss, whatever you'd like to hear. We're open to it. Also, leave comments down in the bottom of this. Funky algorithms love comments. But yeah, it's been absolutely nice, brilliant to be back on the horse doing this again. I'm gonna go sleep now because new children. Oh,
no,
you
idea
love
what you're
them.
talking about.
You love them, but you love them, but you need sleep. But yeah, thanks again for listening. Like I said, please share this with your friends if this is something you like, and we'll catch you next time.
See you next week.
Bye.